Roben-Marie, and welcome to my tutorial on making spring sari ribbon bracelets. Now these are super easy to make, and I'm going to show you how to do it. When you make them, they can be in all different colors. These are a variety of different ones that I've done with my sari ribbon. And the one that we're going to make today in this video is sort of a green, a little bit of brown, and some blue. And you can wear these where the fringe is at the top, or you can wear it where the fringe is at the bottom. And I really like this, and you can stack them where you can wear multiple bracelets at the same time. They kind of look like a cuff, I think. Even if you mix them, I think they're really quite pretty. So you can actually, stack them. Maybe one, maybe two. I guess you could get away with three. So this is what we're going to make in the video, and I hope that you will have fun with this and be inspired, and I look forward to seeing what you create with this idea. Thanks a lot, and I appreciate you being here. Thanks. Let's start with supplies. You're going to need some vinyl tubing, and you can find this at Home Depot. You can find this at Lowe's. There's a couple, there's lots of different diameters. I would stick with the 1/4 inch and the 1/2 inch. I found that when you get to a larger diameter, the bracelets are really big, and I didn't think they worked too well. So 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch vinyl tubing is perfect for this. There's not a whole lot of difference, but I'm gonna probably use the 1/2 inch. There's a couple different, they both work well. They're very, very similar. If you look, you can hardly tell the difference between the two. They both look very, very similar. And then you need, you can get this at Michael's or a craft store. You need some dowels, and you need them in the right diameter to fit within your tube. So basically what you'll do is you need to check the craft store near you, Michael's or whatever, and find out. I just took my tubing in, and then I was able to test to see what dowels fit into each one of my tubes. So these are green because I painted them for another project, but I didn't want to waste them, so I recycled them. You can't see the dowels anyway. So basically what you're doing is you're shoving the dowel into the end of the tube, and then you're putting the other end into the tube, and it basically closes. Now it's not going to be completely round, and that's okay, because the way I see it is you'll wear it, and the bottom part where this dowel is really kind of a little bit flat, which is nice, because a lot of times if we're working at our computer or we're writing or something, this way it's not rounded, it's flat. And you can even put a little adhesive in there, but I have found that the bracelets do not come apart, and I didn't need to do that. So here's a couple of them that already have the dowels in them, and this one's a little thicker. This is the thicker one, so I think I'm going to use this one. And I use wire cutters or craft cutters to cut the dowels down. So it's pretty easy to do. You just got to find the one that when you shove it in, it's really, really tight, and it's not easy to pull apart. So you just want to make sure it's in there really tight. So, and then the other thing you'll need to actually wrap the bracelets is an assortment of sari ribbon. I prefer the sari, but you can use any ribbon. You can use a I don't know, seam binding or something like that, but not something super stiff. You want something that's really soft and will work well with that. And you'll see you can mix different colors. Like this was, some of the sari is variegated, but I actually mixed a couple. Like this one has 2 different colors, mixed a purplish plum and a green. And then here's one where I did mix a couple of 2 or 3 different colors. Here's one I did that's solid, so you can even do a solid one, and I'll talk a little bit about what I did with the solid. And then here's one that has a whole bunch of different colors. This one was a couple different variegated ones. So let's, I pulled out a couple. I'm going to use one that has 3. Now, I didn't mention, but when you cut the tubing, you'll need to estimate what works for you. I don't have a very small wrist, so I work with about 9 inches. If you have a really small wrist, you might want to test it, but I just had to work with it until I found what was what diameter was best for me. And then your ribbon, you want roughly 2 to 3 pieces of the ribbon, preferably sari ribbon, and you want them to be about 60 inches-ish in length. So that's give or take. You might not even need that much. And so I just put them together, and you just start. It's basically wrapping. That's all it is. You want to leave a tail to tie this off. So I'm going to recommend that you leave about 2 to 3 inches. It makes it a lot easier at the end. And then as you're wrapping, you want to make sure that you kind of work it to where different parts of the ribbon show. So like right in this part of the wrap, you want to just make sure that you don't have the same one showing every time. And so I might shift it around a little bit and twist it as I go, so that as I'm working, and hold this end tight, hold the tails tight, and you can kind of work with it as you go, but just make sure you have different parts of it showing as you work your way around. And as you start to go, you might decide, hey, I don't really like this combination. That's okay, just unwrap it and, you know, start over. And you might find that you prefer to have only 2 different ribbons instead of 3. I had originally done this one with 3, or 2, and I really wanted to add in a different color to it. So I really like that. So just keep working it all the way around, and it's a little awkward to hold the end, but you want to make sure you hold the end. And I like putting the tie at the end where the flat part is, where the dowel is. And you can also put clips on if you want to do that, if it makes it a little easier. You can, I generally don't, but if you needed to, you know, you could always just kind of clip that to your bracelet to kind of hold it in place a little bit as you wrap. And so just keep it tight as you go, and just keep wrapping as you work. Now, once you get to the end and you've met up with your tails, I like to take the tails and move them kind of to the side, and then take my next wrap and put it on the other side of where the tails started. And you can even do, if you feel like it's not thick enough, you can do another wrap right there as well. And then just tighten it. Now, we have plenty of ribbon, so I definitely didn't need quite that much, but as I work around, you might have noticed that I actually squeeze in and add a little bit more. So you can certainly do that if you want to make the bracelet thicker. And so now that I'm at the end, it's time to do the tie off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the extra tail, this really, really long one that we worked with. I'm going to cut that off because I don't need that anymore. And this is where you can tie it in one big knot, but I prefer to do it differently. So I'm going to take, let's say, this green one on this side and the brown one on that side, and I'm going to tie those off. Now, if you're using Sari ribbon, just be really careful because the Sari ribbon is very fragile. I'm going to double knot it, and I'm going to do the same thing for the others, and I'm just going to take, like, say for instance, maybe this one, I'm going to take and add the green and the blue. So I'm not doing the same ones, I'm mixing them up. I don't think that matters. I just think it's pretty when it's all tied off the way that it looks. All right, I'm going to pull this one around and just kind of look at it. If you feel like you need to wrap one over again, you can do that. And I just did that with that one. All right, and so this one needs to be tied off with the other brown. I just think it looks better and it gives it more of a fringe look when you don't tie it in just one big knot. Plus, I think it probably will hold up better anyway. And now you can make these as long or as short as you want. I'm going to trim them down because I think they're a little long for my liking. And now we have our Sari bracelet. And then you just stick it on your hand, and you've got this really, and you can, you know, if you want the fringe at the top, I kind of like it at the top as well. So either way, I think you see now that when you add the dowel and you start working on it, it does change it. Recently, I saw Anthropologie is showing models with handkerchiefs tied around their wrists. Well, I think this is a great alternative to that, and it's not quite as thick. So it's super easy to make. Now let me show you another idea. You can take this a little further. If you are so inclined to embellish them, you can do that as well. So for a couple of these, several, I took them and I used some embroidery ribbon, embroidery thread and needles, and I actually went in and I embroidered them with French knots. Now this was tedious. It was not an easy process, but it really makes them look beautiful. So it's a little bit more work to do it this way. And so what I did I'm not going to do one with the embroidery thread, but let me explain it. As you're working through your bracelet, so let's just say we started over here, and I'm just going to wrap. You want to make sure that one of your ribbons is, you know, pretty thick. Like this green one here it's got a nice thickness to it, or it's wide rather. And so after I wrap this, so let's say I'm going to go ahead and put some embroidery thread in this section here and do some French knots. This is where I actually stop and I do the French knots based on where I know they'll be on the bracelet. It's much easier to sew them on before than go after and do it, which I've done as well. So right now I would take my needle and thread and I would do maybe a cluster of 3 French knots. And then when they're done, I wrap and I keep working my way around so that I space them out based on kind of where I want them. Here you can see this one as well too. So you can do them after, but it's a lot of work to get your needle under there and work it and then pull it through. So if you would like to do that, I highly recommend that you do it as you're working, stop, add your French knots, and then keep going. So pretty much that's how that works. So it really does make them look beautiful when you add them after the fact. I started this one here, but I didn't quite finish it. So you can see this is one I started after the fact. And I think, was there another one? Yeah. And then this one, no, this one just has some random, you can see these. These have just 3 clusters. These have 4 and these have 4. But you can do them, you know, however you want to do them. So I think they look fine either way, with or without. Here's another idea for a way to embellish your bracelet. I'm going to show you here. I don't know what these are called. They're a type of safety pin. Oftentimes you find them on clothing tags. So you can take one of those and a charm that you might have. This is a little boot button. I think these are really cute. And then I just found this other little charm. Just little, you can get them at bead shops and jewelry stores. I think I'm going to go with the little heart. And you just slide your charm on that little safety pin. And then on your bracelet, I think it's better to find a spot where you've gone through and tied and then just pull it through the double knot or the knot that you created, probably on the end. So I'm just going to grab a spot here and just, it's not a real sharp safety pin, so you might have to kind of push a little bit to get it up there. And then close it. And then you've got kind of nestled within your little frayed tied pieces, you've got this little charm. And so when you put it on now, I think it looks great with or without it. You've got this little charm now that's hanging from the bracelet. I think that's really pretty. So that's another way that you can embellish it. And if you prefer to have it down, then it just hangs from the bottom of the bracelet. So that's another way that you can embellish your bracelets. All right, I hope you enjoyed that and that you will rush out to Home Depot today and grab yourself some vinyl tubing and some dowels and some ribbon, and go for it and have fun. I look forward to seeing any that you create, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot.